Hi, and welcome back to Pinky Boo Hauntings. I'll be your witchy host, Shy, and I'll be your guide to all things paranormal, weird, and spooky. Well, unlike last week, I think this week the audio's gonna sound a lot better. I don't know what happened, but I'm so sorry. I tried everything I could to fix it, but I just couldn't. So I hope you could bear through that episode. I'm still learning after all, so there's gonna be times like this. But I hope that mess up didn't make you run off and you stuck around because we've got another good one. At least I think so. And I'm going to warn you right now, I'm only going to have one story for you today. But wait, don't click away yet. There is a reason for it. This one is so long. I feel like it could fill its own episode. It's a big boy. So be prepared. Oh, and trigger warning, just in case. This is the paranormal stories of a crime scene cleaner. And while I haven't read through it yet, there might be a chance of some uncomfortable subject matter being spoken about. So I'd rather be safe than sorry. And I will try to do my best to censor things, but I still wanted to give you the warning. Anyways, let's get right into this. This story is called My Experiences as a Crime Scene Cleaner. To start out, you need a little backstory to show how I got to this situation. When I got out of high school around 2003, finding a job was difficult, so I took whatever horrible job I could to get by. When I found a job cleaning fire and water damage full time, I was excited to have a steady income and started saving. But this quickly turned into a nightmare that I had to endure for about 2 years. The company I worked for put me on my first job, which was a water damage claim where a basement flooded with sewage. So after a few days of work, we finished and it was on to the next job. My boss then called me into his office the next morning and told me about a special crew he was setting up and asked if I would be the crew leader supervising three other guys that were just hired. Damn, getting to be a lead that fast on a job at such a young age, that is never a good sign. Well, I guess there is the rare occasion where you're just that good, but in a bad job, it's usually not a good sign. That's a little tip for any of you that haven't got your first job yet. If they put you in a leadership position super fast at a young age, just know they are taking advantage of you. Never fall for it. Sorry, I didn't mean to randomly give out life lessons in this paranormal podcast, but I learned this lesson the hard way, so I just like to warn people before they have to learn that lesson the same way. Anyways, back to the story. I found this strange as I had only been working there a total of around 3 days, but figured my worth ethic was already paying off and I would get a raise. I only made 10 an hour to start. Not only did I not get the raise, but I got no training in the new position other than a work van with cleaning materials. And the phone numbers of the three guys that also were hired in to do fire water damage cleanup. What did I say? They hope you believe it's because you're that good so that they can take advantage of you. The boss told me what tools were the best to use and what cleaning products to use to sanitize, along with where everything was located in the van, with hazmat suits and respirators. But he was vague about what kind of things I would be cleaning up. He just said the situations were always different, and I would get detailed instructions each job. He called my position CSC crew leader. The boss told me that I would never have to see the deceased, as the coroner would have the remains gone by the time my crew got there, and to use my logic to determine what needed to be removed from the homes and what could be cleaned. The first job I had in my new position, which the boss told me about when I got to the office, was cleaning up the remains of an elderly man or woman who died in their house and had been lying in the chair. When we arrived, the coroner had me come inside to show me a few things that were considered hazardous material and needed to be removed due to the risk of disease. I guess my boss knew a few people from the county coroner's office, and much of the work came from their recommendations. Sorry to keep interrupting the story, but can I just say that tricked an 18-year-old into being a crime scene cleaner is a piece of shit. He just got out of high school and now he's just expected to handle seeing things most people can't handle seeing. That man is sick for that. Oh, and just another trigger warning. I think we're about to get into the gross stuff, so be prepared. Not only was the deceased still in the house, but was fully visible to me and the other guy, and you could smell the rot through the mask, as the house had no AC, and this was the middle of June. The coroner was backed up and waiting for additional people to show up to load the body as it was falling apart. And I call the body it because I honestly couldn't tell if it was male or female and was trying not to look too long as it was disturbing. The other three guys I worked with handled it well, but two got sick from the smell and had to go outside to puke. I don't think that's a good sign of handling it well. Can't blame them, but still, they were in fact not handling it well. We all waited outside after the coroner showed us the chair, the fluids that leaked into the carpet, in the basement where the fluids went through the subfloor, and puddled on some boxes in the basement. The coroner's support arrived and took the deceased out, and me and the crew started working. After about 5 minutes, weird things started to happen. The first of which was when I began to disassemble the chair. I had removed the back of the chair and was putting it into a special hazmat bag that I was given, and the base started to rock when I was about 10 feet away, putting the bag with the back of the chair by the front door. No one else was in the same room, as the other guys were in the basement dealing with the moving boxes. I brushed it off and took apart the base of the chair as much as I could, and when I got it into a bag, I got a chill up my back and then began feeling sick. I just figured it was the shock of what I was cleaning hitting me and pushed on, even though the chill was strange, as I was very hot in full hazmat in June. I could see the shock of it all finally hitting you. I would have already quit that job the moment he told me what I was going to clean up. Like, no way I would make it into that house. So, I would not be surprised if your nervous system just caught up to you. Next was removing the carpet and assessing the floor to see if it would be able to be cleaned, or if I would have to remove the section of the floor. So, I called the boss to ask him, and he told me just pour the special cleaner into the area to soak into the floorboards, and it would be fine. So I got it out of the truck where he said it was and brought it inside. When I got inside, all three of the guys in the basement were scrambling to get out of the basement, tripping over each other, and all three ran outside. When I asked them what was up, all three said there was someone in the cluttered basement and they assumed it was a homeless person or a junkie. Detroit has many issues with that kind of thing. I listened at one of the open windows to the basement. It's kind of the first thing we did when we started working. Open any window possible. Prop the doors open. So maybe someone got inside then. Or possibly before we got there and was hiding. After listening for a few minutes and hearing nothing, me and another of the workers went inside, armed with a mag light and a piece of metal fence post, and searched the basement. Nothing was down there but the footprints of the shoe covers we used. But when we started up the stairs, we heard a horrible hacking cough from somewhere in the basement. When we looked for it, there was nothing. But the corner of the basement had a bunch of dust stirred up, like someone was moving things very recently. That weirded us both out. We called the guys back in, and they got back to the boxes, but all of them kept feeling like they were being touched while throwing away materials from the boxes that got fluid on them. I went back to my upstairs job, but found the cleaner that I put next to the floorboards was gone. And I started getting frustrated as it was the only jug I had of the cleaner. And I clearly remember it being set next to the area before the guys ran up the stairs and my attention was redirected. I began to take out the trash, figuring I would find it eventually, or the basement guys took it for the floor. And I found it on its side, behind the bag that had the back of the chair. This is impossible. There were like 6 other bags in front of this one near the front door, and this was a gallon bottle of cleaner. Again, I got a chill, but this one was brought on by what sounded like a whisper that I could not make out the words to. Cleaned the floorboards and moved out the trash. Job complete. That night, each member of my crew had a dream about an older man telling us that we were not welcome in his home touching his belongings and we need to leave. Oh, the old man is mad at you for coming into his house. I wonder if he knew he was dead or not. Either way, he is not happy with you. In my dream, I was alone in his house. The old man cried and told me I was destroying his things and he couldn't replace anything. He was trying to push me out of his house, but it was like I was ignoring him. Even when he would push me and scream at me, no reaction from me. Oh my god, he really didn't know he was dead. He probably didn't understand why you all were there messing with his stuff and tearing his stuff apart. He then threw my cleaner into the garbage pile I had made by the front door, exactly where I found it. Two of the three guys in the crew told me their dreams about the old man pushing them as they went through the boxes of ruined pictures and other old stuff that need to be thrown away due to the risk of disease from its fluids. They also said it was like they had no control and were on autopilot. They said they were so sad but couldn't do anything. The thing that got me about the dream of the other two guys was they both said the man was getting so upset that he began violently coughing, and that the man kept grabbing their arms when they would touch boxes or throw things into the trash. Neither of the guys were there in the house when me and the other guy heard the coughing from the basement. The guy that went into the basement with me said he had a dream, but all he remembered was waking up sad, like he did something wrong, and had a horrible cough fit, which might be a coincidence, but I connected it in my mind as relating to the other dreams. We all talked about it and came to the conclusion that we all were just having a reaction to the situation, and it was nothing more than our brains coping with what we had to do. I'm very into psychology, so I rationalized it the best I could, and we hoped for better assignments the next day. All four being logical, but all of it together seems a little too strange to me. That poor man was trying to let you know that he was upset with you messing with his stuff. Next few jobs were not so bad. Cleaning up blood at a home invasion, no casualties, but huge mess. Then there were a few other bloody crime scenes with casualties, but nothing noticeable happened. About 2 weeks into the job, we began to learn the tricks of the trade and were split into two different groups that I was responsible to manage as crew leader. So I would have to go to different sites if the other two guys had an issue or didn't know what to do. I thought I was getting used to the job as well as the other guys, as we had no other experiences like the first job, but I was wrong. Even more proof that what you saw in that first job was paranormal. If not, I feel like you'd at least experience something else. If it was your mind just playing tricks on you. 'Cause I can't see you getting used to a job like that fast. The next job that there was activity was uh, let's just say he decided to check out early in life by his own means, if you catch my meaning. And he was middle-aged. The coroner had already removed the body, but it was a mess. The guy had pew-pewed himself with what I think was a large caliber handgun or shotgun, as the spray was everywhere in the basement, in like a second living room. There were, let's just say, head bits. I don't know how to make this less graphic, lodged in drywall. The inner head bits all over. And again, he was not found for a bit, so the smell was horrible. I did warn you guys, this might get heavy. Don't think we really needed all of the details though. Damn. First step in cleaning this was using our backpack vacuum cleaner to suck up all of the biomatter. The coroner told us when we went in that he and his partner were extremely uneasy in the house, and it felt strange. And we immediately started getting a claustrophobic, suffocating feeling when we went into the basement as well. I kind of wonder if you were feeling what he felt in his last moments of life. To make matters worse, the family of the man had came over and were crying upstairs, but the vacuum noise helped to cancel it out. While I was cleaning, the power to the lights went out, and it was completely pitch black. This was strange because my vacuum was still powered. My crewmate started screaming at this point, so I turned off my vacuum and climbed off my ladder. I thought maybe he touched a wire to the lights, but when my vacuum unit was turned off, he was still screaming, and I could hear things being knocked over. I started fumbling around for my flashlight on my tool belt and yelled for my friend asking what was going on, but all I got back was panic screaming. Then I saw in the pitch black something darker that was moving in my direction, and I will admit I freaked out. I slipped, trying to back up, still looking in my belt for the flashlight, and found it when my back hit the basement wall. I turned on the light, aimed at the blackest shape I have ever seen, and when the light turned on, I saw the shape of a man wearing a flannel shirt, beard, and an expression like he was going to attack me. Then it was just gone. Holy shit, dude. Surprised you didn't quit right then and there. I wonder why he was trying to attack you. My crewmate was behind where the entity was, sitting on the floor, rocking with his hands on his head. When I approached, he picked up his flashlight off the ground and turned it on, then ran up the stairs and outside and threw up. I followed behind him, asking if he was okay and why he was screaming. I thought I was just imagining the entity and the man because his screaming scared me, but he told me that he was scrubbing the wall and felt something pull on something in his tool belt, and he thought it was me. But when he turned around, the lights went out, and he was engulfed by what he said was a dark smoke, and he immediately could not breathe and was struggling to move. He managed to pull his flashlight out, but it was knocked out of his hand, like his wrist was grabbed with force, and he managed to scream. When he screamed, trinkets started to fall off the entertainment center that was about 3 feet to his side, and the black smoke moved back. But he was close to passing out from exertion. He also said he lost hearing and didn't know that any noise came out when he started screaming, and that the stuff falling off the shelves was landing on him, and that's why he was covering his head. He said it was like a weight was lifted off of him when the dark smoke backed up, but he felt sick right away. And the light from my flashlight made the sick feeling increase. Seriously, this is insane. At first, I was thinking it could be the guy that, but I don't know why he would do all of this. This feels more like an angry spirit. Not just the fact that he saw the spirit that seemed to be coming at him to attack him, but all the other stuff, especially everything happening to his crewmate. It seems way too angry for what they have walked into. We took an early lunch where he just sat there, pale as ever, and didn't say much other than he said he breathed in that smoke and didn't feel right. I got him some Gatorade and his color started to come back. I never told him I saw a man when I turned on my light because we still needed to finish, and I didn't want to put that in his head since he never mentioned seeing it. When we went back in, the lights in the basement were on again. Half the things that fell from the shelves were back in the entertainment center, and the TV was on baseball. There was also a different smell in the room, similar to burnt hair. My worker stayed a half hour, got sick again, and went home for the day, leaving me alone to finish, which I didn't want to do, but had to, as the other guys had their own job. After cleaning up everything with my vacuum, I began scrubbing the old blood, which is hard after it congeals, mixed in the inside head bits, and it is like glue, even with cleaner. While I was finishing up, I kept seeing the shape of a person always in the side of my vision. Each time, I would smell that strange burnt hair scent. And a few times, I also felt like a force was pulling an item on my belt. Not sure what item, as there are several things on my belt. See, this is more what I would expect. The spirit just seems like it's trying to get your attention, not attacking you or anything like that. Just wanting to be seen. When I finished the job, I went to use the bathroom upstairs, and in the hallway along the way, I heard like muffled crying or moaning. I froze up and stayed still, thinking maybe a family member had come back. And when I panned around, there was nothing, but I saw a picture on the wall of a man with a beard wearing a flannel. Several other pictures in the hallway of other scenarios of the same man. Different flannels with deer or fish or family. I had not seen a picture of this man, as I had not been anywhere else in the house with a bathroom, nor did I use the bathroom downstairs because pulling off the hazmat stuff is a pain. As I was securing the house, closing all windows, locking doors, and shutting down every light but the front porch light, I saw the front curtain move and again saw the darker than black form in the front window. I do wonder if that's the guy you're seeing or something else. I don't know. I just feel like they aren't the same being. It feels like there are two beings there. One feels more like the spirit of the guy that died there, and the other feels like something darker. The last experience I will share happened in mid July in a very bad area of Detroit. There had been an incident where a guy supposedly tried to abduct a child, was stopped by people in the neighborhood who beat the man very bad, and he escaped to his house where the neighborhood people quickly called the police and civilians surrounded the man's house to prevent escape. The police response time in this area is horrible, and the people were throwing rocks through the man's window and damaged his car. The man was hurt bad by the mob and was hurt by a rock or glass and died in the home. This is the assumption of the DPD. From what the police officer told me, it was a misunderstanding, and the man picked up a girl that was injured riding her bike, and some kids that knew her told their parents that the man was kidnapping her, and people overreacted, and the man was brutally beaten. If that is true, that sucks. The cleanup was pretty simple to do. We secured windows, cleaned up blood and bodily fluid, but as soon as I entered the house, I just felt wave after wave of fear and sadness. Like I have never felt this before, and it hit in waves that made my legs weak. My working buddy, who was there, showed up late and didn't get the story from the cop like I did, but experienced the same feelings I did. The whole time we were there, we saw a form darting around corners, like it was watching us, then hiding. It was similar to like a small bit of fog or mist. That guy was probably thinking you were there to mess with him even more, especially if it really was just a misunderstanding. He probably was scared of what you were there for. Probably why you were feeling those waves of sadness and fear, too. It was probably what he was feeling before and after his death. We also heard very slight cries for help coming from several areas in the house, and also what sounded like, please stop, and long no the few times the crowd came back and yelled at the house also. And when this was going on, the activity in the house increased, and we could hear running footsteps go up and down the stairs, a door slam, and it sounded like the front door would open and close, but we never saw any of the doors move. Yeah, that spirit was definitely still in fear for his life. The path of the footsteps sounded like from the front door through the living room to the bathroom to the stairs and to the upstairs bungalow room. The part that really got me was I could feel the floor impacts that felt like the vibrations of someone running past me when I was cleaning the areas. And each time I would be hit by one of those waves of fear and sadness. When we left the house, there were a few people on porches hanging out, like as usual during summer, and the people were still hostile and yelling random things, but directed at us as we loaded the van and took off hazmat suits. Why you guys? You were just there to clean up. It's not like you were there before any of this happened. You're just the cleanup crew. Why attack you guys at all? We ignored this, but before we loaded all of the materials from the house into the van and locked the house, the front door slammed hard enough to sound like a gunshot, which scared me and my crew member, along with the people on the front porch, to the point where they went inside. The front door deadbolt was somehow locked, and we could not get it open. I think it was a different key than the knob. So we ended up leaving several boards in the house that were left over from boarding a few of the windows. The feeling of relief when I left the house was like night and day. Inside, I was anxious, scared, paranoid, and just really down, which could be due to knowing the story. But when I got outside, it was like flipping a light switch. I immediately felt better, and me and the other guy in my crew were joking and laughing about dumb stuff and normal 19 and 20-year-old shenanigans. Yeah, either you were feeling that guy's last moments, since it wasn't that long after all of this happened, or he was making you feel what he went through. Maybe his way of telling his side of the story. Either way, when you guys were leaving, he was making it clear it was time to leave him alone. Which, again, if it was true he was falsely accused, I don't blame him for wanting everyone to go away, 'cause he would have been killed for no reason. Man, I'm not surprised by no means. A crime scene cleaner would have some crazy paranormal experiences. I do think you're stronger than most. At 18, 19, doing a job like that, most would have left the first day after finding out what they were doing. But add on top of that the paranormal aspect, I don't know how you did it. We all think about the crazy paranormal tales people like coroners, funeral directors, and even cops might have, but I feel like crime scene cleaners would also have some crazy stories. So, with their job, I probably wouldn't want to ask them. They probably see enough stuff they don't want to talk about or think about. So, while it would be fun to know their stories, I don't know if I would want to ask them. I don't know if I would want them to have to relive that. Well, I hope this wasn't too gross of an episode, but sadly, it can't really be helped with the subject matter. If you weren't too freaked out, could you please rate and review the podcast? And like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. I promise I'll have a less heavy one next week. At least the best I can do when it comes to the paranormal. And if you have a story you would like me to read on the podcast, please send me an email at pinkyboohauntings@gmail. The email will also be in the show notes below. But for now, the coven is adjourned. See you next time. Bye.